Are you the kind of person who holds yourself and your work to such a high standard, sometimes almost an unrealistic standard? Do you get quite anxious about the perceived perception that somebody or a group may reject you? Do you feel like really uncomfortable in a group, feeling often like people misunderstand you, even if you don't know if they misunderstand you or not? Do you get quite angry or emotional when someone has slighted you? When you have come out of a situation and you feel like you've made a bit of a fool of yourself or made certain mistakes, do you keep replaying said mistakes or perceived mistakes in your head over and over and over again? Do you feel like your self-esteem is quite low and you're often affected by the way others may think of you? Do you isolate yourself with the preemptive thought that other people are going to be judging you if you might make a mistake? Do you feel a lot of shame and guilt towards yourself if you make mistakes or fall short in certain situations? If you mostly answered yes to the above, you could have rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria. Or you could just simply be sensitive. I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist. All I can do is talk to you guys about my life and to see if you can relate to it, and then we can all relate to each other and feel good, hopefully. So yes, this video today is about rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Lex Morningstar, and this YouTube channel is about the human condition and the 16 personality types, mainly INFP. And if you are a returning subscriber or a returning visitor, you may have noticed a small little absence, and please excuse me for that. I have been dealing with those lovely blows that life just loves to throw at you, and unfortunately have had to say goodbye to 3 people so far this year. You know, the interesting thing is, although I've had to say goodbye to 3 people, we've also had 3 people close to us get married and or getting married. So it's been a very interesting kind of start of my year to 2020. Anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling to you guys because you're just going to want to let me get started on this video. So away we go then. What is rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria? Well, of course, like probably most people on the planet, we're all quite sensitive to rejection. It is going to feel uncomfortable to everyone, and of course people are probably going to try to avoid rejection the best that they can. However, people who have rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria are often the kinds of people who feel emotions so much more intensely. So of course people who are empaths, or in your guys' case like INFPs or highly sensitive people, and especially people who have ADHD, are absolutely more prone to feeling the feelings of rejection way more intensely. But not just that, the perceived notion that you're going to get rejected. So this can often get quite confused with a social phobia or social anxiety, and often rejection sensitive dysphoria can lead onto those things. So according to Psychology Today, individuals who have rejection sensitivity dysphoria respond extremely negatively to the perception of being rejected. It goes far beyond the run-of-the-mill discomfort that most of us experience. People with RSD have such a strong emotional reaction to negative judgments, exclusion, or criticism from others that it sends them into a mental tailspin? What the heck's that? Leading to rumination and the pit of the stomach malaise that won't let them move forward with their day. They feel like failures, disproportionate to what has actually occurred. They may feel rage and want to lash out. They often exaggerate how people are against them or how much people dislike them, or they can carry long-term shame. Or they may overcompensate and bend over backwards in a desperate attempt to keep themselves and others' good graces. Other people may see those with RSD as overly perfectionistic, overly sensitive, or overly reacted to even the mildest type of criticism. So there you have it, RSD in a nutshell. And if we're looking into RSD, there are many reasons as to why this kind of emotional dysregulation can occur. A lot of that being, if you take a look back into early childhood, people who, for example, have ADHD will get criticized 20,000 more times than people who don't. So if you're being told constantly, especially when you're younger, that you're doing things wrong, that you're stuffing up all the time, or that you're not normal, when you're constantly receiving those kinds of criticisms, you're going to hold on to them and kind of brace yourself for impact every time you're going into a situation where there is perceived rejection. This can certainly affect our relationships, whether they are romantic relationships. You might get this idea of a person new into a relationship freaking out every time their partner may not text back straight away or return a call. People can take things out of context and read situations, overanalyze situations. It can manifest in that way. It can manifest into professional relationships where, you might have a job where you're undergoing certain tasks and always thinking in the back of your head, when am I going to stuff up? When am I going to stuff up? I'm going to get in trouble soon. I'm going to be taking this action and people are going to be poking holes in it. I'm sure they are, and they're going to hate me and think I'm terrible, etc., etc. It could manifest into performance anxiety. If you're terrible, or you think you're terrible at saying speeches, for example, because you think, oh my gosh, if I get up there and I got to say the first line and completely stuff up and humiliate myself, and it's so incredibly soul destroying that a word can't even come out. It's just going to be vomit. It could manifest into that. It can manifest into every aspect of our lives. And often people who have rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, feel this perceived rejection so intensely, and the shame that comes with that they often don't move forward with their lives. It literally stops them from taking action because they are so scared that they are going to stuff up and that they're going to make a complete fool out of themselves, that it's just easier to not do anything. It's easier to stay in your safe zone and be like, you know what? I'm just going to stay here so that I don't have to face humiliation. And you know what? That is something I can 100% relate to. And I want to know if you guys relate to this too. It affects me in my everyday life. It affects me from moving on with my life. It affects me from making decisions, making friends, making career moves, and it is incredibly taxing. And what's worse is I know about it. Like, logically, I know about it. I know that if I just go for things and build the confidence that I'll be right. I logically know that, but then something happens to me where I go into the survival, fight and flight response mode, and I can't, I'm like a deer in the headlights, and I just can't move forward with making certain decisions because it's just like I freeze. And then my emotions just flood over me and I freak out, and it's like, no, I can't do that. I was a very intelligent girl. I was incredibly creative. The things I was good at, I was really good at, and those were the things that I liked to pay attention to. So naturally, the things that I found quite average, I didn't really like to pay attention to them, didn't like to focus on them, and it often reflected in my grades. So my full name's Alexandra, and back when I was a kid, I would get called Alex for short. So in my reports, the teacher would often state, Alex tends to go off into a dream world when she's supposed to be focusing. And you know what? I took that incredibly hard. Like, I'm just like, well, I'm not good enough. Like, I need to work harder. Like, I need to be better. And it didn't help that at the end of my elementary years, I would get called in to see the teacher for the teacher to check my work before I'd go off and play during recess and lunch. And I took that as such harsh criticism against who I was, because I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, like every other student is good, but then I have to have my work checked because I'm dumb. And it wasn't that I was dumb. The teacher clearly just wanted to check to see if I was okay, check to see if I was on track, because often with the things that I didn't really enjoy, I wouldn't focus on them. But the flip side to that coin is that the things I was good at, I just completely blew everyone else out of the water. When it came to writing, I was really good at that as a kid. When it came to performing, I was part of the dance group at school. I was part of the marimba band. People in my school knew me as this one of the singers, and I'd often go to auditions and do things. So like I had this intense passion as a child to just go off and express myself, express my creativity. But when it came to my shortcomings and to the moments where I showed weakness, and to be told that that was an area I needed to work on, I just beat myself up so much. And I thought I was just so dumb. This kind of situation did continue into my teenagehood, where at school I took music and drama and all of those performing arts, which I really loved, which I did really well in, until music. And if you followed me for a while, you would know that my contemporary music experience at high school was pretty mixed, and I was associated with people who didn't really have my best interests at heart. I was in a band where the lead guitarist just kind of took over, pushed me to the side, made me feel like shit, gave me a tambourine, and I wasn't singing anymore, and it was just him singing with his guitar and everyone else. I can't remember what everyone else was doing, but I took that as such extreme rejection. And after that, I struggled to perform music. Like before that, I was fine. Like I was part of the marimba band at my primary school, as I said. I was able to perform in front of people, even though I was such a beginner guitarist, and, you know, couldn't really sing to save my life. Well, I mean, people who have rejection sensitivity dysphoria think that way about themselves, don't they? So I was fine to do that until this situation happened, and I had to perform. We had this end of year or end of assessment performance where we had to get up together and perform like 3 songs. And here I was with my tambourine, not singing, not doing what I was set out to do in music, not to work on my skill that I had, just doing tambourine and feeling like, oh, maybe I'm just not good enough. I'm just not good enough. And I carried that with me. After that carried with me. And there were times where I still tried to get up to perform later on after I left school. And I remember performing in a pub. I sung Me and My Bobby McGee, which was from Janis Joplin, which was one of my long-standing songs that I loved to sing. Janis Joplin was one of my favorite artists. And I stuffed up. I choked. I forgot the lyrics, and I just felt sick. Like I felt, like even thinking about it now, like it just sends shivers down my spine. And I all of a sudden developed performance anxiety. This bubbly girl who loved to perform, who loved to act and sing and dance, she was beginning to get smaller and smaller and smaller and becoming this shell of herself, so scared that she was going to be shunned and shamed and rejected. And it didn't stop there. Oh no, it did not stop there. It happened when I was trying to get my learner's driver's license. I was told by people around me, you getting your license? Oh, that's not a good idea. Haha, you're just a bit blonde. You're going to crash the car. You know, and like those comments just affected me so much. I'm like, oh, no, you know what? You're right. I'm not going to get my license because I'm not going to do a good job. I'm going to stuff up. I'm going to make a fool of myself. I'm going to hurt somebody on the road. Like these were the things that I started believing because I kept getting told them. They kept getting drummed into me so much. And I started believing them. And therefore I didn't want to move forward and to maximize my potential. And slowly I just, as I said, just went into this shell of myself of like, I can't do anything. Like I'm just tiny little mouse. I can't do anything because I'm going to hurt someone. I'm going to make a mockery of myself. I'm going to make a fool of myself. It was crippling. And the thing is, I didn't even realize that this was happening. It was just happening. These situations followed me into my working life as well. Even with jobs that, you know, I kind of didn't really have much of a passion for or anything. I've often had managers who had really bad problems themselves and would often take their own insecurities out of me, because they must have seen that I was a bit of a target because I was quite sensitive, right? So I'm not going to go through the individual situations, but to sum up these people, they were incredibly narcissistic, abusive, and would often say things to me like, you're dumb, you're slow, why can't you get your crap together, why can't you use your common sense and do things properly? And you know what, the reason why that I may have come across like I didn't have common sense, or that I couldn't do things properly, it was because I was too scared to make a move. Like, I felt like no matter what decision I'd make, they would poke holes in whatever I was doing, and they would quote unquote reject me and shame me and make me feel like I wasn't good enough. And so therefore I didn't make any moves. I was like walking on eggshells the entire time. My whole working life, except for 1 or 2 jobs that I've had, feel like I've been walking on eggshells, too scared to make a move, too scared that I was going to upset someone and make a mistake. So every time I would go in to make a decision, I would have this underlying, how am I going to stuff this up now? What is it? So when I go to make this move, what is it that's going to be wrong about it? Because there's going to be something wrong with the decisions that I make. And so I would often be overthinking every single day, overthinking every move that I make with this underlying premise that I was going to upset somebody, that I was going to make mistakes and upset my manager, and then she was going to abuse me for it and tell me how shit I was. Like that, and that was literally what happened. And I had to do a lot of healing from that. And I didn't deserve it. You know what? It wasn't my problem. That was their problem. And after knowing, secretly the things that they went through privately, it was just like, okay, now I can see why they took it all out on me. Because when they need to heal, they'll often lash out and attack others to fill that void. And that's what they did. But at the time I didn't know this, and I was being hurt so bad and had that rejection sensitivity thing going on. This also happens with my performing. I love playing music. I love it. I love singing. I love jamming. That's like one of my favorite things, is to get a group of friends over and to jam with them and to make music and, to have a couple of drinks and have a really good time. One thing that really trips me over is when someone wants me to entertain them, and then all of a sudden, deer in the headlights, oh my gosh, I don't want to stuff up. I want to do a good job, and I need to be perfect. I need to rehearse this thing and make it 100% perfect so no one can criticize it, poke holes in it, and then I won't feel embarrassed and ashamed and like I never want to do it again. Because you know what? When I get up there and I do a good job and I nail it, I feel so good. It just feels so invigorating to get up there and to perform and to do a good job and to entertain. It's great. But the problem comes in before that happens, before you do a good job, where you think automatically, without a doubt, okay, I'm going to be doing this, and how am I going to stuff it up? It sucks, but that's just what happens to me. Good old rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria. I've had it with friends as well, going into friendships. My friend groups weren't so bad, but after getting blown off a few times, I kind of decided, I was sick of being rejected a lot, so I pushed a lot of people away. I was also bullied at primary school, at elementary school, like physically bullied. Some girls can be catty as well, so I had to deal with that, as you do. But this impacted me, and therefore I became very, very selective with who I wanted to spend my energy on, and would only really be very, very socially selective to the people I felt who deserve my energy, because my energy is precious. And I'm not about to just go throw that away on someone who doesn't really care about me, right? Especially if you guys are INFPs, you're introverts and you're very socially selective, and you're not just going to throw your energy away on just anyone. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. If you're going to slight me so much, like a few times, then I'm just going to walk away, because it's just a waste of time. I want serious friendships. That's who I am. I want people who aren't going to waste my time, and I won't waste their time because I want to be a good friend. I want to be there for people, genuinely there for people. And I'm so lucky that I do have I don't have many friends, but I have a couple of really, really good friends who I've been friends with for years and years and years. And I'm very lucky to have them. And they see me and they love who I am. And that's the kind of people I want around. So I know you guys are probably like watching this video going, oh my gosh, Lexi, you've got some serious issues. You know what? It's fine. Because the thing is that I'm aware of it. Like, I'm aware that I've had these things happen in my life, and that I have this rejection sensitive issue, that I'm a sensitive person. I am a sensitive person. I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm an empath. It's not a bad thing that when you flip the other side of the coin, as a person who has rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, comes a person who has incredibly high empathy levels, who can read between the lines, who's incredibly emotionally intelligent. Yeah, it might kind of go to the extremes where you're just like overanalyze situations, overanalyze people, and perhaps sometimes make wrong assumptions about people and situations which won't serve you or others. But to have that emotional intelligence is incredible. And so I don't just look at myself going, oh, I've got these issues and they're ugly. I look at myself going, oh gosh, I've got these issues. I want to work on them. I want to get better. I want to get more confident and build my self-esteem. And then I'm also looking at myself going, gosh, I see situations differently. I perceive things differently. I can offer a completely different point of view. I'm very creative and expressive. And, I've got this YouTube channel where I'll completely put my vulnerabilities out there. And that's a huge strength, because how many people don't do that? Like, how many people go on social media and post all these wonderful things that happen in their lives, and it's only like 20% incredibly hyped goodness that actually happens, but everything else that these people won't share, because it's just like people don't want to open up like that. And I completely understand why. But to be able to put your vulnerabilities out there, to keep going, like, despite feeling like you're just this walking open wound the whole time, is an incredible strength and takes enormous amounts of courage. And I guess it goes with the whole notion of INFPs are the soldiers in the trenches of the human condition, because it's people like INFPs or empaths or highly sensitive people, or people who have ADHD or Asperger's. They are the kinds of people who will explore the depths of humanity and not let the dangers of it stop them, because they're on this life path. They're healers. They're people who want to make humanity better, and they're going to constantly put themselves out there, even if it hurts. Even if sometimes they don't, and they don't make any decisions about it, and they just freeze for a moment. But you're always going to come back to, no, I need to keep pushing. I need to keep going. And that's the good part about it, I guess. This is a long video, so I'm going to stop it right here. But I want to know if you guys can relate to rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, if you feel like you might have it, or if you feel that maybe it's just social anxiety that you might have, or you're just simply sensitive, either or. I just want to know about it, so leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will see you guys all again next time for the next video. Bye.